When I was working with one of my first clients, her website was a mess. It had over 90 plugins. A service page, she had a PDF uploaded because that was the easiest for the developer to do. 3 years into the project, she told me, "Oh my God, Petra, if we didn't do the redesign, I think we would go bankrupt."
What was like the biggest pricing mistake you did?
On a project, I said, I'm fine with making money at the end of the project. The client got sick. She's not answering anything. And it cost me like $3,000.
Hi freelancer, welcome to today's episode of the Freelance Blueprint. I'm your host Lisi, a freelance UX designer and digital nomad, and today we're joined by another freelance UX designer, Petra. I came across Petra on Instagram because she posts a lot about what it's like to be a freelancer in the UX industry. In this episode, we're talking about where to find clients and which platforms to use, how to manage time efficiently, how to charge for your projects, working in versus on your business, the freedom of location that you have as a freelancer, and so much more. So let's dive in. Hi Petra, thanks for coming on the call today.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Where are you calling from?
I'm in Croatia, I'm in Split.
You used to be in Germany, right?
Yes, I lived in Germany for 2.5 years. I thought that it would be a better life for me in Germany, and it was for 2.5 years. But then since I started freelancing and went full self-employed, it kind of made sense to go back to Croatia, like to my hometown. And now I'm working what I want to work, and I'm close to my family, and I'm on the coast, and there's sun. So yeah.
Nice. What was it like moving to Germany? Like, what made you move there in the first place?
When we decided, so I moved there with my boyfriend, and it was just like Croatia was not in a good place. And like in Croatia, we're used, especially like young perspective people, everyone always tells us that we don't have the future in Croatia, which is really sad because it's not true. Also, like, and then we just figured that maybe we need to live abroad. Like the roof is too low for us in Croatia, and we moved to Germany because we thought we will have like better opportunities, and we did for a while. It was better opportunities. It was like higher payments. It was like working maybe with a bit more global companies, but the work-life balance wasn't that good. Overall, it just didn't make sense anymore. It did for 2.5 years, but yeah, that's why we moved, and that's why we moved back.
Do you think, like, did you always work remote, or did you find an office job in Germany, and now that you are self-employed, you're location independent? Like, how was it like?
Yeah, so when I was living in Split, so prior to moving to Germany, I lived like 15 minutes from my office. So I would go to the office at like 8:30. I would drink my coffee on the roof, on the sun, and then I would just start working. And when I would finish, I would just go home. And that was it. And then when we moved to Germany, I got like a bit of a cultural shock that it took me like an hour to get to my office, because I was living in a small town near Stuttgart and my job was in Stuttgart. So it took me like an hour to get to the office, and it wasn't bad at the first because I was used to, because I knew that I had to go to the office and then work and stuff like that. And it was great because I was with my coworkers, I was learning German a bit, and that was really fun. And then when I switched the jobs, I went to the office, but I didn't have a nice monitor. It was too loud, and it took me like an hour and a half to come to the office. And then I just figured it doesn't make sense. So I bought myself a desk at home. I got another monitor, and I started working a bit more remotely. And since then, I'm remote. Like I went to the office if I had to, and I really got used to doing remote work. And now we live now in an apartment where it has 2 bedrooms. So one is like a guest room, but it's also my office. So I have now like a nice desk, I have my monitor, I have everything that I need. And then I just like shut the door after I'm done, and I don't go into the room, and it really helps me separate that like living arrangement with house arrangement.
when I work from home, and maybe for me it's a little bit different because I'm a digital nomad. I don't always have a kitchen. I don't always have like a lot of stuff because all the stuff I have is from a suitcase. But I remember the good old days where I had a home. I would get distracted so easily from, I could do laundry, or maybe I'll prepare some dinner now. Like, if you have to do some slow cooked meal or like there would always be a task that I would then procrastinate on doing when I should be working, or I would procrastinate doing the household stuff while working after work hours. Like I would always do what I shouldn't be doing. And in a way it was a productive procrastination, but it was still like I wasn't doing the thing that I should be doing. How do you keep yourself motivated working from home?
That's so funny because it really, like when I was in Germany, I would do that. I would like, I don't want to work now, I'll go clean. And then you clean for like an hour and you're exhausted and you don't want to work anymore. I try to have fixed hours that I work. So I try to work from 9 to 4. And that's like where I block my calendar. I'm really trying to block my calendar. And what I figured, for example, is like when my boyfriend comes home from work, because he doesn't work at home, he does his chores. He does everything. So it doesn't make sense like that I do the laundry when I'm on work, because it really, really helps me to have this separate room, because then this is my office and I'm not at home. I'm like using the kitchen because it's convenient, but I'm at work and I'm really trying to hold everything there. But I also find like if I want to stretch, if I want to do something, it really helps that you're remote, like that you're working from home, because if you know that like I can, I can turn on the machine when I start working, and then by the time that I have lunch, I can put it outside so it can dry. While I wouldn't be able to do that if I were in office. I would have to wait till I get home. So it's, I think it has both sides, that it helps you procrastinate, but it also helps you like really rewind at the end of the day. But I'm always trying to respect my working hours and to respect my pauses, like during the day.
Yeah, I remember when I used to live with my ex-boyfriend. So I used to live in London before I became nomadic, and I lived with my boyfriend who I've been together for like 5 years, something like that. And I got my first freelance gig, and it was fully remote. And I would be working and all, and he would leave and then come back, and then he would be like, "Oh, haven't you done this? Haven't you done that? Haven't you done this?" I'm like, why should I do this? I'm still working.
Because you're home.
Yeah. Like just because I'm here doesn't mean I can't faff about, like just because I don't. Yes. Like in your example, like you were saying you would commute to work 1.5 hours. So that's 3 hours a day. 3 hours of your time where you could, you could argue maybe you can be on the train and read a book or something, but also sometimes you don't feel like it, or, it isn't always a productive time. And so my boyfriend would always argue, like ex-boyfriend was arguing that, oh, but you don't have to commute. You save so much time and this and that. And it's like, yeah, but I'd rather sleep longer, or I'd rather, do something else. Do you have any issues when it comes to that with like, not necessarily just your boyfriend, but like, anyone who is like, oh, you're working from home. Why? I don't think your house is messy. You don't seem like that person. But like, like where other people are like, oh, you're working from home. You're lazy.
I think I have problems with everyone that I'm working remotely because nobody takes me seriously. Like, so for example, I started, since I moved back and I missed everyone, I started going to the gym with my mom. So she's a cook in a hotel. She just finished at like noon and 30. And she's like, let's go to the gym. I'm not productive after 4. So if I go to the gym, it's like half a day gone that I just don't work. Which was fine when I was working, in the beginning of the year, I was working on a project that was hourly. And then I would do what I need to do. And then I would send it to them, wait for them. And then I would continue working. So it didn't need, like, it wasn't a retainer that you work like 15 hours and then you have to do those 15 hours or 20 or whatever. And then I could. because it was, I will finish everything till noon, and then I would go to the gym. I will go back and do maybe 2 more hours or jump on a call or whatever. So that worked. But my grandma would call me like, hey, like on Tuesday morning, hey, do you want to come for lunch today? Like, I'm working, leave me alone. Like, nobody understands, especially when I moved back, that I have a working schedule. So like everyone else, I'm working, but just because I'm flexible doesn't mean I'm flexible for you. I'm flexible for myself. Nobody would get that. And my boyfriend would also message me like, if you don't have too much work, can you do blah, blah, blah? And I would tell him like, yeah, after work. Like, I don't care if I don't have anything to work. Now, I don't want to switch my work mind to Aaron's mind, because it takes like brain
I think the
energy.
gear shifting is like the one where even if you work on several projects at once, and then you work on like, let's say, an AI project, which is desktop based, and then another client, which might be like a mobile app, and it's more like fun and less, it's like the context switching is so hard. So sometimes client A says, oh, can you just tweak the copy here a little bit? Or, oh, can you change this, whatever it is? Like for you to get out of the one project A brain to get into project B brain, finding the Figma file, finding like this, that, reminding yourself, okay, these are the guidelines, it's so exhausting. Like even if you stick within work mode, but within projects, it's already hard. So finding the motivation to get back to like errands and then back to work is so exhausting. And what you said with family at home, every single time I go back to Austria, I usually stay at my parents' house, and my mom, she would just bring me food all the time. I have an Asian mom. That's a very typical thing. They just bring you food. And I always tell my parents, when the door is closed, don't come in. Like, if you can come in, I'll leave the door open. Don't even knock, because I'm probably on a meeting or I have a call or something. Sometimes I just, want to be in my work zone. And my mom would just like knock, but not wait to hear anything and just open. And it's like, they don't understand that just because you're at home doesn't mean you're available.
Yes, 100%. I had a really, really cool grandma. Before she retired, she was an accountant, and she was working from home, like when I was a kid. And she would always say, like when she would be working, and then that's why I don't understand why she doesn't get me now. But she would always say, I'm at the cinema. I'm not home, when she would be working. And we knew, like as kids, we knew she's at cinema, we can't talk to her. And that's how it should be, because just because I'm at home doesn't mean I'm, as you said, doesn't mean I'm available.
What do you mean with cinema?
No, she would say like, I'm at the cinema, like I'm not home. Just so we understand why we can ask her things or play with her or whatever. Yeah, because she's at work. But it's hard to explain that she's at work. So she would say that she's in a cinema.
How did you actually get into UX design?
So I started at, I don't know, I feel like I've been in design since ever. I started get interested in it, like really get a start, like in usability and user research and all of that in my, I think, second year of college. So I was finishing bachelor for visual communication design. So that's basically all of it, like that has like with graphic design and whatever. And then we started learning about, we had like an interaction design subject in college, and we started talking about human-computer interaction and how everything works. And it really got fascinating, because I always thought that graphic design it's just visual, and somebody can tell you, I don't like it, it's not colorful enough, can you make it pop? And I hated those kind of clients and working with that, because why am I educating myself if you're gonna just say, I don't like it? Like, I need an argument. So when I figured that there's laws of psychology in UX, I was like, okay, so I can argument every decision that I do. And that was the start of it. And then I continued learning through college about it, like on my own time, because it was not enough what we were learning in uni. And then I got an internship for a UX researcher in an agency, and then I just continued learning there and doing all of the stuff. And that was the beginning, and I'm still fascinated by it.
Yeah, I love it as well, because it's like you have a reason why you do things a certain way. And I remember one of my first full-time UX gig. I was really lucky that he wasn't just a mentor, he was also the person who employed me. And he would always say, you need to be able to defend your designs. Like whatever you come up with, if someone asks you why you did it like this, you need to be able to say, I did this because of X, Y, Z. And I'm not a person with terminology and stuff. Like I can't say it's the law of whatever. I would usually just say, statistically, people are more likely to do this if that happened. Or, I don't know the proper words because I'm self-taught. Like I know the theory behind it. I've seen, like, based on user tests and stuff, that often the theory, like, not always, but often matches what people do in the end. But I don't have the proper words. So I'm always fascinated by people who actually studied UX design, who went, like, through the career path. How do you feel now, knowing what you know now, looking at the UX industry now? Do you think you would still go to university, or would you do a boot camp? Or what would you recommend someone who's listening, who's interested in UX? What would be the best entrance to a successful UX career?
Like for myself, I think it really, really helped that I went to uni. Like uni wasn't the best time of my life because we worked really hard and it was just not good. Like in general, but I was taught there a lot of things that I think helped how to navigate clients, how to navigate projects, how to like consistently work and give presentations and then just work on deadlines. And it was a weird time. But we also learned all the foundations of why people react to something from a visual perspective. So from sociology to like perception psychology to semiotics to everything. So we went through everything that has to do with visual design. So I know I can argue now because of that. I can argue everything in design because I know I'm an expert because of the foundations. Like it was just foundations. It was broad. It was like really intense, but it's still foundation. So after that, I really, really went into learning about UX. So I was watching conferences. I was reading blogs. I was doing courses. I was doing everything. So I think it's not any path that is like you have to do this, but it is that you have to do 10,000 hours of anything to become an expert. So getting like a 3-month course, getting, 24 hours to become a UX designer, working with AI or doing any of those things doesn't make you an expert, but it gives you the foundation to continue growing and continue working. And I don't think like, now that I look at the design and now that I look at all the frustrations I had when I was a junior designer, like why nobody understands what I'm doing and the value of UX is that they don't care about the terminology. Like if I tell them, oh, it's because, I don't know, people do this and they don't care. If it's going to bring them money, they're fine with it. If not, they don't care and that's it. So the less they know about the theory, because you're fascinated by it and nobody else is. So you just give like simple little, because you're the expert and you're giving the information on how to make the user experience better. So whatever you do, it's like whatever path you take that works for you, it's good. So you can do courses, you can learn on yourself, like by yourself. You can do, you can, if you want to do more UI, you can always try to replicate some design on your own. But it's just work. You have to put in the time, you have to put in the hours, and whatever it's available. Like internet is full of things. You can become an expert on anything, but you have to put in the work. It's not 3 months and that's it. So,
yeah, it's like often I think people learn things, but they don't know how to use it practically. So even if you have a bootcamp, you end up with like most of the bootcamps are 3 projects, 1 personal project, 1 group project, and if you're lucky, 1 that is with a real client. But 3 projects are not going to make you an expert. But I also think that's why they're juniors, like when you hire a junior, you need to be aware that you still need to upskill a little bit. But also I think the UX industry specifically, because of all the boot camps and all the quick courses and YouTube tutorials and stuff, everyone calls themselves a UX designer, and it's quite hard to find the good ones. But then also, like, I think I was lucky enough that I joined UX at a time where there were not that many people who were offering it. And now I've done it so long, like almost 10 years, where it's like, okay, I'm an expert, and mainly because of the experience I've had and the amount of time I spent with it. But then also junior designers, like I think some on average take like 1 or maybe even 2 years to find the first UX gig, which I find crazy. Like, what would you recommend a junior designer to get their first gig? Or how did you get your first one?
Or in general?
In general, like, would you recommend them that they would have to find a job first, or should they go straight to freelancing? Or what would you recommend them?
When I started, it was freelance work, but it was like very vague freelance work. You know, that for $100 and then they insult you because you don't know how to code. Those kind of gigs. And then and then with time you get like better clients and all of that. You learn communication and stuff like that. But if you're a junior designer and you want to get experience, I would recommend to go to agencies and send them an open letter. So tell them, hey, so first, don't send same letter to everyone. Go through their website, see what they did. Like, it doesn't, like, nobody will read, hey, I'm fascinated by your work. I'm a UX designer and I can help you. Like, it's spam. So don't do that. Take 5 minutes. Go through their website and see what they did and send them a genuine message. Like, hey, I just finished blah, blah, blah. I am hungry for real work experience. I saw on your website that you do blah, blah, blah. That really aligns with my mission or values or whatever. And I would really like to help you and the team. Why people are hiring junior designers is because they need someone to do the manual little work that senior designers don't have time for. So tell them that you will like see what value you can bring. You're not a little miserable thing that just wants work. You are an essential part of any design team. So don't think that you are asking for a favor or something. Like, position yourself. You're there to help them. You're not just looking for a job. So it will make you a bit more like not asking for a favor, but just tell them like, I can help with blah, 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 blah. And send it to like, I don't know, 2 agencies per week, like in your local place maybe, and remotely, like whatever you want, just to get that, because it works. Like I did that for 3 agencies and I got a call like right away. Because they were, oh my God, we didn't have time to even get a job application outside. Like, this was meant to be. I got that. That was my first job in Germany. I sent them like, hey, I'm moving. I know this, and that. Like, I speak English really well, so I can help you with international clients. And when I jumped on a call with my first boss there, he was like, this was meant to be. I was just thinking how we need someone who's an English speaker. And that was it. So yeah, I think sending open letters to agencies is a really good work. Like if you want to go freelance, start with locals. Start with anything. And you just have to build your portfolio just so you can show something. Because even if you get like a gig and they're like, okay, cool, let's jump on a call. And they're like, what did you do? Can you show me your work? And you just like stop there. You have to have something. It can be concept work. They don't have to know. that it's not real work. They really don't have to know. But just tell them, like, what was the issue? Just don't mention the client.
Yeah. I mean, even if it's not real work, it is kind of real work because you've put the work in. Maybe it's not a real client, but you have to start somewhere. And sometimes, there are things that have been designed and are a certain way since forever. And you showing that, okay, a music player could also look like this rather than what Spotify is doing. And I think often people take brands like Spotify and try to redesign that and put that in their portfolio. And it's really difficult because so many other juniors take on these very known brands, or like how to redesign Airbnb and stuff. And the thing is, they have so much money. They put so much research in there. It's very hard to make it better than what it is. Maybe you could find like one small thing and make a massive case study on this tiny little thing. Like supposedly the way the Facebook like button was designed was like crazy, and test it. It's just a simple button. It's just start somewhere. Don't feel like just because it's not real, it's not important. Or if it's like your grandmother's website for her gardening, whatever it is,
yes,
it's a project. And often the first projects are the ones that like, you understand client management, and it's even harder to manage a family member or like a close friend than it would be to, okay, you have a story for that. Tell me about that.
No, just in general, like whenever you work with anyone that it's so annoying because you feel like they never listen to anything that you ever said about your work when they become your client.
How do you manage your clients? Like, what's your client onboarding, client offboarding? Like, what's your system there?
I don't have client offboarding. That's something that we can talk about because it just dies out. Like I finish a project and then nothing. So I have to work on that. That's a good point. But on the onboarding, so I was going through a course recently. I don't know how it was called, but it was from Ambitious Creatives. That really helped me figure out and streamline my processes and everything. But what I do is I have a Notion. My life is in Notion. And I have a sales pipeline. So I have people that I know. And then I communicate with them. And then if I figure that they need help, I will send them to jump on a 15-minute call. And then I will tell them, I will ask them like, oh, what do they need help with and blah, 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 blah. And then I will tell them like, okay, here's what I can offer. If it's a website, then I open my presentation for websites. If it's branding, I do that. I open that presentation. And then I tell them, like if this sounds good for you, I will send you a proposal, and then I send them a proposal. If they're good with that, I start the project, and I work through Contra because I've tried every platform out there for freelancing, and Contra is now really, really good because it doesn't get you any fees.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
How do they make money then?
Yes.
Or do they charge the clients? Okay.
Yeah, they charge. So they work through Stripe. So Stripe is managing their payments. And like if you don't have, so I have a pro account that's like $16 per month. And if I didn't have that, the client would have to pay additional $30 for onboarding on the project. So that's how they make money, I think.
So they do charge the freelancer in the end.
Yeah, yeah, but it's $16 per month, and also you get like for every client that you onboard, you get like $25 or $35. So that's good. So if you onboard one client per month, it's basically paying itself out. Maybe like two, even like every 2 months. So that's pretty cool, and for now it works. So then I onboard them on Contra, and that's sales onboarding. That's not the client onboarding, but the client onboarding, what I like to do is start with like a kickoff meeting to figure out everything they need. So I have like 8 questions that I ask them just to cover everything, and then from there I see if I need something else from them. to start the project. But it's mostly like getting on a call and having some kind of Slack or something, just so we can communicate on a like daily or weekly basis.
How do you find your clients? Like, one of the questions I get asked the most is, where do you find clients? And I think the longer you are in the industry, the easier it is. But where do you get your clients from?
Oh, I think this is like the burning topic now for me because I worked through Toptal for a lot, so since 2021, and it didn't fit really my ideas of what I want to work, and it became a bit unstable with everything. So until last year, I was working through Toptal, so that's where I got most of my clients, and I had like a yearly goals, and one of my goals was to get away from platforms so that I start getting clients myself. And it's not an easy job. It's so freaking hard because you start from zero, because you have to somehow collect people to come back to you. Like, I don't know, it's a really, like, mentally, it's a really weird, like, where do I find them? Like, how? Like, what's happening? So what I did, so I passed the course. There was also like a lot of explanations there, how to do it. But like one of the lessons there was like, reach out to your past clients, reach out to people that you worked with. Like one of my first referral clients was an old project manager that I worked in that in the first company, like in Split. And he's a freelancer, and he was like, okay, we need a UX designer. I know you were good. Please come to the project. And we worked for like 3 months on a project. And that was like, it's at the end, I know that this is so annoying to say because like it's the hardest thing, but it's at the end of the day, it's referrals. And if what in the course it was says is, the more people know who you are, what you do, and for whom, the more likely is that they will send people your way. So it's the more you're out there, so you can do marketing. I have an Instagram page where I talk to like teams and product designers and UX designers in general. So maybe there someone will come. I have a website, so maybe somewhere will there come. I don't know, I do like stuff like this. I talk to, like, I'm on podcasts, or I do some gigs like webinars or something. But the idea is that you're not selling, you're helping. And that's how you can get general connections. And it's not like I tried sending cold emails, and that doesn't work for me. Like, you're just like, hi, do you need a website? Nobody needs a website. Like, when you present it like that, like, hey, I could do your website for, I don't know, and then you say like $2,000. Nobody will get there. But if you warm the lead up a bit, it really helps. So I started with platforms, and that worked really well. But then at the end of the day, you can always ask your past clients for maybe additional work, or maybe for referral. So maybe they can send someone your way that they know of, and it just works.
I find it interesting that you said that the cold outreach doesn't really work for you when you're like, oh, I can help you with your website. But before, you were telling the junior designers to reach out to agencies, because it is a cold email. And it's often like the way you approach, and like there are so many ways to get clients. There is not like, I think the most the easiest one, and the ones that I love the most, is referrals, because you don't have to do the sales. Someone's already sold on you. Someone else did the sales for you. And it's the easiest it's basically just, when can you start? How much does it cost? When can we expect the deliverables? Something like that. But cold outreach is always like, I find it so icky, because you have to explain who you are, what you do, why it's helpful for them. And why do you think it's more difficult for you to send a cold outreach email to a potential lead than messaging agencies?
So because agencies know what I do. I send that to digital agencies, to design agencies, to people who know that they can benefit from a freelancer, because they will just dump all the work that they don't have time for. So they need it. But the clients don't need a website. they need a solution for some of their problems. When I was working with one of my first clients, her website was a mess. It was on WooCommerce. It had over 90 plugins, and we had a developer who was gatekeeping everything.
Oh God.
So nothing would be able to be like changed on the website until it went through him. So that was paying me, that was paying him for work she can do herself. So she had on a service page, she had a PDF uploaded.
Mm-hmm.
That was the solution for the page, because that was the easiest for the developer to do, to upload a PDF. I died when I saw that. So anyways, so what I offered her was, okay, I told her, hey, the website is a bit of a mess, but we can fix it. We can do like page by page. We can start with a bit more crucial pages. I did something that I call interface inventory, which I'm not sure that it's a real thing, but I do it, is that you screenshot every page.
It's
and
a real
then
thing.
Okay, it's a real thing.
I don't know if that's the right word for it.
I don't know
because
if that's
again,
called.
I don't have the legal background. I would just call it an audit of make a list of all the components. But it's a real thing.
Yes, it's some kind of an audit. And you just label everything, and then what has most priority, you do that first, and blah, blah, blah. And the first thing she said is, oh my God, I don't have money for a redesign. That was the first thing she said. 3 years into the project, we moved to Shopify. We did everything. And a few days ago, she told me, oh my God, Petra, if we didn't do the switch, if we didn't do the redesign, I think we would go bankrupt. And it's just like, if you don't sell the right problem, like if you don't explain the problem to them, they don't understand why are you doing that. And I think every business gets gazillion, hey, I can do this for you, I can do that for you, but it's focusing on the output rather than the outcome. So agencies already know what you do and how you can help, because they have that problem and they understand how it works, and they probably already work with freelancers. But businesses have a problem that is lack of time, lack of money. The website is so technically ruined that they don't know even where to start. So that kind of cold outreach doesn't work for them. For me, I don't know, it probably works for someone else. Maybe like if you're a good writer, it can work. But what I figured for me now that it works better is because I don't like to do like websites that can be a cookie cutter. I really want to work on custom problems, like on custom solutions. So like if you have a website, but the website, you want to do something with the website, then we create the whole system around it. I'm working mostly with CMS so that you get blocks, and then you can do it yourself. Like you don't need me or a developer or whoever to continue building the website, but I just give you the things. And I also, I don't like to work with copy that much, like, because I don't know how to do it. And they're like, oh, can you change the text here? Can you change the text there? Like, here you go. The login, everything. Fix it, play with it however you want. I did the components that will work for you, and that's it. Because at the end of the day, it's their website. If they know anything about their business, I feel they can also hire a copywriter to help them with that. But sometimes they might know a bit more words on that.
So when you say you do the CMS, do you give them like a Framer, Webflow, something along those lines, or do you just give them the design? Because where would they enter the copy?
Yeah. So I work mostly with developers. So like in collaboration with developers. So they probably have a developer already. So what I do is I do the design in Figma. So I do all the structure for each page type. So they can have, for example, let's say they have 5 products on the website, or they have 5 products in their business. I do a product page, and I do in that product page like the components they can use, like that's called page blocks. And then you have like, I don't know, testimonials, you have features, you have FAQ, you have those zigzag like image plus text stuff. And that's what I deliver to the developer. And the developer then does the blocks. So what they can do in WordPress, or I was working with Prismic on the last project, is they have the blocks and they can just take them, drag and drop, and do everything. And what we do from the design perspective and from UX perspective, especially on websites, is that we do the outline of every page that we know we're gonna have. So, like if it's a product page, we think, okay, so this is the product. It will be the best for the client, for the user to read about this, and that. And then we have most of the copy already in the wireframes. Because I work with the client to figure that one out. And then once they do it at the end, I'm not the one putting all the content in the website. I'm just there to deliver the design to the developers, and then they can do whatever they want with the blocks, because that's what it usually happens with the problems.
Get it a lot, like you mentioned in one of your first gigs where you got insulted because someone was like expecting you to code as well. I think like from our world, it's very obvious that we do the design. We don't do the development. There are some UX designers or like Webflow designers or people that say, actually, you can do it directly in Framer. You don't need to have a Figma file, and then it's more or less already there. And that's like the next step as a UX designer or like any other no-code tool. Do you get a lot of people who confuse UX design with also the final deliverable?
Not anymore. But at the beginning, it was everyone wanted you to be everything. But it's, not anymore. Like I always tell them, like I have one project that I worked on. It was a landing page. And I really wanted to get that feeling of like warmth and calmness and everything, because it was some kind of a wellness site. And I did it in Wix. I hated every moment of working in Wix because it was so buggy. And since I'm not working too much with it, it's just like I would move something here and then it would just disappear on desktop, and I'm never doing this again. Like I will do the prototype, I will do whatever it takes. I'm not doing this. But I still did it because the client needed it. So if it's something simple, I can do it, but I know it's not going to be as quality as you get a developer on the project. Like there are, as you said, like unicorns and really specialized websites, web designers, that I think is the benefit of being a freelancer, is that you can pick what you want to do and do it, and there's no labels that you have to fill out in agency work. So that's why freelancing is really good if you want to do those kind of stuff. And then you're just a Framer expert and you do websites for whoever, but you do really, really good Framer websites or Wix websites or whatever. And I really respect those kind of designers, because it's you have both of your sides of the brain working, and that's so cool. Like I think like you either have creative or analytics, so that's how like developers versus designers kind of work. I think it's a good one, but if I can scale it, if the client can scale it, that's what I focus on. Like they can scale their websites themselves, and I feel like WordPress and custom development and all of that is way easier for them. And like I wouldn't want a developer doing design. So I don't want to take their job.
Yeah. And that's why people have different roles. I think it's good to understand a little bit of codes and stuff, to understand how it would work. What would it mean if you, I don't know, make this desktop version into mobile or the other way around. So it's good to have a little bit of knowledge because like I always tell the clients, please, if you have a developer already, like it can be that you have a waterfall approach and you make me design it and then you hire someone else later to code it. But it's better to have both people line in line, because there's no point in me designing something that the developer can then not implement, or not with the restrictions that you have. Because if you're using Framer, maybe the developer can't implement it the same way, for example. So it's always good to have that relationship with the developer. But yeah, I find it a bit difficult when clients expect you to know how to code, or, I mean, like you said, I've not had it in a long time, actually. I think people have shifted with that. But how do you set your pricing? So you mentioned that, like, for example, that 1 hourly rate project that you had, like I usually work on day rates because I don't like to do 1-2 hours here, then another couple hours for this project. I find it so tricky. But then also I'm trying to get away from the day rate, because then I always feel guilty when the client gave me a task. It doesn't take me the whole day, but I cannot continue until they gave feedback or they gave access to certain files or assets. How do you set your pricing?
That's a tricky one, and that's also what I'm working on now. When I started, and everything that I did so far, it was custom estimates. So I set a rate, and then based on, let's say, I usually would do a redesign. So then based on the pages, based on what they need, like that we call Toptal discovery call, is I would go into an Excel sheet and I would put min and max hours that I think it will need, and I would send them the estimate as a proposal, and they would say yes, and then we would work, and then I would usually be in those brackets. It happened like both ways, either smaller or bigger, especially because of the scope creeps. I'm not sure that's the right thing, because I spent too much time doing the estimates, and I can't do any kind of predictions of how much will I earn in the next whatever. So what I'm trying to do now is to do packages, but I am trying to do them still on an hourly basis, but also on part-time, like on a retainer. So I'm still setting up the hourly rate, but I'm trying not to tell them, or to at least focus on the hours. So for example, like if we, let's say I have now 2 projects that are like in sales pipeline. One is they want a redesign of something, and I said I can do you 15 hours per, I don't know if it makes sense to say hourly rate, but I said like $50 per hour, 15 hours per week, and that I can calculate and figure out how much will I have on a monthly basis. And I know that I have like max 15 hours per week that I have to work for them. So if they don't do the hourly, if they don't give me feedback on time or something, they're just prolonging it. So I'm still saving my time. Yeah, that's basically it. So that's what I'm trying to do. And for websites, I'm trying to do it like on a fixed thing. Like if it's a simple website that I do, I don't know, $2,000. If it's a bit more, it can go up to $10,000. It didn't happen yet, but it can. So it depends on how complicated the project is. And then I'm still trying to figure out the brackets and how to navigate. But I'm like websites, I'm trying to do them by project, and product design, I'm trying to do them by retainer. So it's like 10, 15 or 20 hours. And then I adjust my hourly rate by that. But I'm focusing on the hours retainers rather than just the hourly rate. Does that make any sense? Like, how do you do it?
Well, at the beginning, I would just, like, my first freelance gig was on a day rate. And I was completely blown away, because if I would, like, it was a full-time gig for 6 months. And I was like, well, I could work for 6 months and then not work the rest of the year, and I would have still made more money with this one client than working full-time in a permanent job. So I didn't do any calculation. I just took it. It was already like a huge win. And then, like, I had a few clients that wanted to do hourly. And at the beginning, I was just like taking my day rate that I had with that client, divided by 8, and set that as my hourly rate, which is so stupid, because you shouldn't have the same, like, if your day rate is, I don't know, £400, then what's that by 8? Like it should be a bit more, it should always be a bit more because of that gear switching. That is the thing that's so frustrating. So the hourly rate should be more than your day rate divided by 8. And then I got a few clients and that's usually the smaller clients that maybe never worked with UX designers before and they don't want to work on a day rate because they have no idea how long something would take you. And then I started to do the proposals and I find them so time consuming because I feel like I'm just picking random numbers. Like, yes, maybe to do a design guide, like a style guide, will take me roughly this and this much, but then what if they have changes? What if they, if there's a certain amount of amends? What if the client needs not just the regular components, but because of their type of business, they need an extra thing that's not in the default style guide and you have to reinvent things like that. So I find it so tricky. And initially I would do those proposals based on my hourly rate as well, which I'm trying to get away from because I want to stop selling my time for money. But I'm currently reading this book, which is about money as well, like your perception of money. And I realized that even if you do a value-based project rate, you still only get the money if you exchange your time for it. So yeah, I'm still figuring out the pricing, but I also want to do what you're mentioning, like having different packages, but it's difficult to find those packages because all the projects I have worked on, they're not comparable. Like one app is very different to an AI system for banks, or like a dashboard for, it's so different. It's really hard to have one pricing. And sometimes I wonder if a different industry would be easier. Like I recently worked with a photographer and she just has 3 different sections. Like you just need a headshot and a couple of photos for the website. Or the medium one, which has we use this storyline for these marketing assets, whatever. Or the third one is where you have a driver, a hairstylist, the whole, the luxury package. And it's exactly what you want when you look at these 3 options when it comes to photography. But I don't see something that would apply to UX design in these 3 sections. But she was saying she likes that because it saves her a lot of time. She doesn't have to explain. She doesn't have to do individual proposals. And usually whatever you need from a photographer would fit into one of those boxes. But yeah, I would love to do that for UX. So if you found packages in that style, even if it's a retainer, because even if you sell 15 hours of your work, I find it so frustrating because I'm super fast now. I became very efficient and you just hurt yourself by selling your time. Now I can do in 1 hour what a junior designer might need a whole day for or something like that, So it's I find pricing really hard. What about you? What was the biggest pricing mistake you did?
Oh, I needed to prepare for this question. I know that I did some problems. Oh, you know what I did? Oh my God. So on a project, I said that I'm fine with making money at the end of the project because I was moving to Croatia. The client got sick and she's not answering anything. I don't know where she is, what she does, if she's alive. And it cost me $3,000.
Oh, shoot.
Because I just did it.
Yeah.
And that was a pricing mistake. I did everything good, but those collecting the money, that's a bit hard. Still, you have to do the deposits. You have to do maybe it will be good to get paid in advance for a week that you do, but it's really tricky. Especially because you're a business owner. I think it's tricky for every business owner, especially at the beginning. Trying to get the perfect balance between earning money but also helping others so they see the value in what they're paying you, and also in the ways of how to do it. So yeah, that was one of the mistakes that I did. But never start working until you get the deposit. That's for sure.
Yeah, that's a really good tip.
So at least something.
Yeah. Another thing we talked about before was about offboarding clients. And on the point of finding clients, I mean, I don't have a proper system. It's all just in my head. I really need to do a checklist and also manage everything on Notion. But basically when a client offboards I have this goodbye form. where I basically just ask them for feedback. I ask them, what do you think worked really well? What do you think could have been better? Like, how would you rate the expectation versus what you got? Like, are you happy with the designs? Is there anything that you think would have been better if you would change this one thing, et cetera, et cetera. And then I use Typeform for that. And then at the end, I ask them, like, would you work with me again? And if they say yes, I then ask them to write a testimonial or review that maybe they post on LinkedIn, or maybe I can use it for my website. And I also ask them, if you know anyone that could benefit from my services, please let me know. Maybe you can do an introduction email. I've seen other designers, and I find this a little bit sneaky. They would offer people a percentage for whatever the rate is. So let's say you get a $10,000 project through a referral, they give you 10%. And I'm like, I don't know. I feel weird with that. I also ask, because I guess it's the same for you. People will ask you, do you know a developer? Do you know a copywriter? And there is a web designer that I haven't worked with him directly, but I reached out if he's available. And he said, if I get that client, you will get 10%. And I'm like, I would refer you anyway. Like, we're not competition. We're we're complementary. Like, I would refer you anyway. In a way, it's nice that he offers that, but at the same time, you deserve that referral without having to give me money. Like, yes, you wouldn't have made that contact without me. And maybe with this, like, I'm not a good enough business person because I could just recommend everyone to him and make money with doing that. But also, I find it a bit weird because then, like, I want to recommend the right developer for the person, because often it's also a personality thing. And I think that's often what, clients don't see, that when you hire someone, like, you're gonna be on a couple of calls with them. You want to, like, you kind of need to have the same values also, because this will reflect in the final product. So I find this whole commission thing a bit tricky, but it's also a good trick, because then you're more likely going to be referred than someone else who doesn't offer a commission. But that's a good offboarding. And also every now and then, what I try to do, but I always forget, is at the end of the year, Christmas time, to just send an email saying, I've just been reflecting on this year. I really enjoyed working on this project. I just want to see if there are any results since the redesign. Are there any numbers? And then you can also use those numbers in your portfolio, and you put yourself back into the memory of the client. Because once that redesign is done, maybe they discovered something else, or they know someone who, and December is usually a good time because that's when people start to think about the budgets for the next year. So yeah, that's how you get referrals, and that's how you get returning clients.
Nice. That's a good advice. good business trick.
Yeah, spread the message.
Sure. Yes.
How do you organize your projects when it comes to UX design? Because, like, all the projects are different. Agencies are different to, like, individuals or like startups. How do you organize yourself?
So, as I mentioned before, I don't know if I just told that to you, but I have everything in my calendar. So I'm always trying to refine that calendar. So what I have now is I have my start and my end of the day. So YouTube is your best friend. Like, go on YouTube and search people who are freelancers and how they organize their time, and maybe it will help you to do something. I was watching a video recently from a girl called Dea. She's I don't know what she does. I think she's like a VA, like a virtual assistant, and she does videos on organizations and blah blah for freelancers. So what I did in my calendar is I have start of the day and the end of the day. And then I have what will I do after that. So maybe like a walk and workout, or maybe coffee with friends, or maybe doing errands or something like that. But I start the day and I end the day in my calendar. So it's 8:30 to 4:30. So I have everything, including my lunch break. And like with clients is that I try to, so if I'm working on 15 hours per week, then I try to block my time. So by 3 hours per day. Or if I have something a bit less, maybe it's an hourly, because I have clients who are still on, like, if they need something, then I just do, and then I bill like 5 hours per month for them because they don't need me that much. And then I just put it all in the calendar. But I have a system where I add stuff to Notion. So I have in my Notion, I have all of my tasks per project. And then I have my estimate, so how much would I need for each task. So for example, let's say that we need to do, I don't know, I have to refine all the components that I did for one project, and I know that I will need, I don't know, 6 hours per that. And I have time on Wednesday and Thursday. So I will block 3 hours on Wednesday and 3 hours on Thursday. And then it will be on my calendar, and this is an organizational like hobby that I have. So I'm going into a rabbit hole of it, but I have like little notifications that pop up, like you can start working on this project in 30 minutes, like you have it in your calendar. So I tend to block my hours per clients, and I know when it's going to be the end of my project, usually, because it's you put contract like on a month or 2 months or 3 months, or if you do on an hourly rate, you know how much availability you have and how much it will, like when it will end approximately. So then you know how your next month or 2 or 3 will look like. So I'm trying to block that all in my calendar. But the thing with freelancers is that you also have freelancing work that is like working on the business, not in the business. So that's your sales, your marketing, your learnings, your communication with people, and all of that. So like it really depends on how much you can put productive hours in work, and like what you want to do throughout the day as a freelancer. Like if you have more clients, then you work less on sales and marketing. And then you can block your hours like that, but you can do it on like a daily basis, or a weekly or monthly, or if you have like a quarterly of plans, then you can plan into your calendar. But I use calendar for everything, just to block stuff out.
I do that too,
always,
but it doesn't work for me. Like I write down like I usually, at the moment, I don't want to take on full-time gigs. I don't want to work Monday to Friday anymore. So I just take on 3-4 days a week, and I just split them around. And the client knows that. Like technically it's a day rate, and I try to make sure that they get the value and the time. But I just don't want to work 5 days a week anymore. And luckily I'm at a stage where I can charge a good enough day rate that I'm flexible with that. And I block my calendar to do that work. But then it's like, I'd rather record a podcast instead, or like, I'd rather do the edit so I can like publish it. Or like, again, I'm a productive procrastinator. I need the deadline. If I don't have a deadline, if I don't have a call with the client where I have to show them what I have to do, I get up early to get the work done before the call, or I stay late, which is also not ideal. So I don't know, maybe I have like, everyone talks about ADHD and all these kind of things, but also sometimes when I have this deadline, I do everything in the short amount of time before, but the whole time before that, I'm stressing because I know what I need to deliver, but also I know I'm going to get it done because it happened so many times that I do things last minute. And I try time blocking, and I go through phases where I just don't get anything done. And then I go through phases like today, I ticked off like 10 things already, and like, I don't know, but yeah, calendar blocking doesn't work for me. I'm still looking for something that does. I think I need to be more disciplined.
No, but I think that's the beauty of freelancing. You don't have to. Like, if you don't feel like working now, just go outside and that's it. Because nobody, like, you don't have a boss that tells you need to be from 9 to 5 here. So do it. Like, if you know you're gonna, like, I think that's also a good hack that you mentioned. Like book calls with clients. Yeah. Then you have like a check-in with them. I usually do them either 2 times per week or every day if it's like a part-time or full-time gig. So that you have to work every day because you have to deliver something. Because otherwise it doesn't work. Like you do that. Like you do, if you have Tuesdays and Thursdays call, then you will do work on Tuesday morning and Thursday morning. So that's it. But that's how you organize your time. And I think I had a mentor who told me the idea of calendar is that you put like only the client work and then everything else is your free time. So you are not working and that's it. And while that's like, if you don't want to do anything else as a freelancer, but just do freelancing work, I think that's really cool. But I had I think last week, I had calls on Tuesday that I had to deliver something. And on Monday, I sat on my computer and I was like, I have nothing to do. So I got up and I went on my couch and I watched Futurama for the rest of the day. And I was like, I don't have to work. So I'm not gonna. Like, if you did everything that you needed, it's better to just get off the computer and do whatever. Because you said yourself, you know how much time you need before the call. So that means that's free time. It's your freelancer.
But then is it really? Because I feel like when I have free time, I'm like, okay, I could update my website. I could write a blog article. I could, edit a podcast. Maybe I put some content. Like, I always feel like there is something else that I could do. And maybe that's some subconscious thing where I tell myself I always have to be productive, because even what you said before, like, if you want, you can just go for a walk. But then when I'm on this walk, I'm thinking I should be working right now. I'm stressing that I'm not doing the thing that I should be doing. So I find it funny when you, like, before the call said you're so organized. It's like, no, I'm very chaotic and messy. Somehow I meet every single deadline and I get everything done. I just need that pressure. But
that means you're organized.
Yeah.
If you do it.
Well, I think, like, in my head, organized people are always calm because they know when they do what and they stick to the plan. Whereas for me, it's like, I can do this before the call. I can do this then. I could just stay up late and enjoy the day today, which is, like you said, it's the nice thing about freelancing. You don't have to do 9 to 5. If you're a night owl, you can do, 4 p.m. till midnight, whatever. I guess I'm just chaotic. I'm not as organized. But if any clients are listening, I'm very organized.
Yes. But she meets every deadline, so that's good.
But how do you manage? Because maybe we can talk about that. Your social media, because I think promoting yourself on Instagram, whatever other platforms there are, is a job by itself. Like, how do you manage your UX work, client work, promoting yourself, putting systems in place for working on your business, not just in your business, plus social media?
Okay. I could talk for an hour more about just that part, but I will try to be as concise as I can. So you have 2 categories. This is also from a course, so I'm not this smart. So it's I learned. So that's also.
So you are this smart if you learned it.
To this.
Don't talk bad about yourself.
Okay. But every person that you see that it looks successful and is just so organized and blah 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 blah, they have people. They have systems around them that help them appear that. So they have mentors, they do courses, they talk to other people, they have good people around them, friends, family. So don't think you have to do everything alone. But anyways, so what I wanted to say about that organization is that you have 2 categories. You have working in the business and on the business. So on the business is your sales, your marketing, and your admin, and working in the business is your client work. So then you think, like, how much client work could you do per month or per week that is enough for you to cover your rent, to save a bit of money, to do all the expenses for the life and business. Then you have, so that's your block time that you have for your clients. And then all the rest of the things that you think you can still have in the day is your working on the business. So for me, that's 20 and 15 hours. So I'm trying, like, I never worked that much, but like that you can dedicate 35 hours per week. And then you work on your marketing, your sales, your admin in those brackets. And client work is in other brackets, so in the time blocks. And Instagram has been hard for me because I would, so I started it when I was working full-time. And, well, I didn't work full-time. I was working on 80%. So that's 32.5 hours per week. And then the rest 8 hours, I would do Instagram. And I was really good at it because I was in a flow and I was constantly putting out stuff, and then I would get like collaborations, which is another like a benefit from it because you're making money out of creating content. So you feel like it doesn't have just the purpose of helping someone, but it actually helps you like continue working on that. And then at some point I just stopped because I focused on my freelancing business and I had no idea like what to do anymore. Like, what do I post about? Because I'm not doing UX anymore in an agency. So I can help other people do agency work. So I did audits with marketing people, and nothing helped until I sat and tried to rethink why I want to do this, like why I want to post on Instagram, and why do I want to help the community. And then I just got all those frustrations out that like, why are you doing this, that driving me. And then I created gazillion systems in Notion. Like, I would do one and then it wouldn't work. So I didn't post since November, but I always have plans, and I always have systems that I work on, and I waste so much time on that. And now I have one, which I started from the beginning. So I started with the strategy and everything, and I'm trying to post like 2 times per week, and I have my calendar. And the key is in organizing yourself and trying to batch the content like in before. And like, I don't like to do carousel posts because they take too much time. So then I figured I don't have to, like, I can do reels because I can just film a B-roll, put some text, and I like to write. I really like to write captions and talk about that, like in writing. So I do that, and then I will see like how it goes. But it's rewarding to continue posting because you always get to meet people like you. Like, I would never meet you if it wasn't for Instagram. And it's so rewarding to talk to people and to connect with people from everywhere and just know that you're not alone. That's also a thing, like when a afraid moment when you go freelancing is that you don't have colleagues anymore. You don't have an office. But Instagram really helped me figure out that I don't have to. I have my people in DMs. I can always jump on a call with other freelancers and have more supportive people that you would ever have in a team, like in what I had in agencies and stuff like that. So it's been really fun, and that's what drives me to continue posting. Like, you just have to find some kind of balance in all of that. I think that's the key in everything in life. You just have to find balance, and finding the balance is the fun part, I would say. So yeah, it's not that much of like organization, as long as like you can think that you're organized, and but if it helps you to be 70% organized, 20% organized, it's better than not having anything. So it's
yeah. And that's exactly why the podcast exists, so that other freelancers, because it is very lonely, know that, no, you're not alone. Like, you're not the only person who is unorganized or the only person who is trying to find clients and plays around with things. So, yeah. I have 3 final questions that I ask all of the guests. And one of them is, would you ever go back to a permanent job?
No. No, I thought about it so much, but no.
And the next question is, if you could go back in time to, let's say, the person that you were at university who was just learning everything UI, the foundations, graphics and stuff, what would you today tell your past self?
Oh my God, I'm gonna cry. Don't tell me that. I would tell her that those 3 years is just the beginning, and that she has like maybe 40 years of working, and that even though she loves what she does, like UX or design in general, that doesn't mean that the job is going to be fulfilling, and maybe to focus a bit more on her mental health rather than work, because she's not her work, and she's so much more than just a designer. Yeah. No, I just wanted to say that I think my past self would think I'm so cool, like the current one, that were like, oh my God, I can't believe that you can do that, and I'm really proud of myself for that.
Yeah, I think often no matter where we are, we always think like we could do better, we should do more, we should be more productive. But like you said, like if I would tell my teenage self, for example, I'm traveling the world, I'm only working like maximum 4 days a week, I earn enough money that I can, go wherever, whenever. It's like, I would be like, what are you doing? Are you an actress or something? It's like, no, I just work on my laptop. I have a very boring job. But we always compare ourselves to like other people who have more or who do more or who are what we think more organized, you know. But often we forget where we come from. So you are not just, your worth is not your work. And I think often freelancers think that. And I like that you are going to like, or would tell your younger self that no, work is not everything. And mental health is more important. Okay, last question.
Okay.
If you could fast forward 5 years from now, imagine who you would be in 5 years, where your business might be, where, what type of clients you'd have. Maybe you moved country again. Maybe you moved away from Split. Imagine what your life would be like. What do you think your future self would come to tell you today?
Whoa. Okay. Oof, I like this. Okay, so I would probably in 5 years, I would hopefully have my place, like an apartment or a house somewhere around Split, because that's the goal. I hope I don't move because I want to stay here, but God knows what will happen. And I think she would work not all the time. I think she would have like clients here and there, and I think she would have some kind of an office. So that was always my vision of my future self. And what I think she would tell me is that I'm doing a good job, that the things that I'm doing now will pay off, because even if I have no idea what I'm doing, and I'm learning constantly about freelancing and like just gaining this experience of not getting paid or like not be sure how to package and stuff, that she would tell me that it's okay, that I just keep pushing and it will be fine.
Oh, nice. Well, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. I really enjoyed this.
Yeah, me too. What a great way to start a week. I really enjoyed this.
Thank you. It was so nice to talk to a fellow UX designer. I really enjoyed this conversation, and I hope you did too. It was so interesting to see how she got into UX and her freelance career and how she manages her time and workload. I really hope you learned something new, and if there's one takeaway, I think it should be that you shouldn't measure your worth based on your productivity. If you liked this episode, please leave a review and hit the follow button. This will help the Freelance Blueprint get discovered by more freelancers like you. Share this episode with anyone who you think can benefit from listening. That's all from me, and I can't wait to have you join again next week. Bye!